Part of this video is sponsored by Sunflex UK. More on them later. In this video, I want to show you how to create the ideal bedroom. We spend about 1/3 of our lives sleeping, so getting bedroom design right should be a top priority. I'm going to use images from several of my designs, including this project, as an example. It's a master bedroom with its own dressing area and ensuite shower room, thanks to Square Foot Media for the video and images. If you are new to the channel, my name is Neil and I have been a self-employed architect in the UK since 2009. In my day job, I specialise in designing private homes. Now, since I'm an architect and not an interior designer, this guide is based on the assumption you aren't just updating an existing bedroom. I'm assuming you want to create a brand new bedroom where there wasn't one before, either altering or extending your existing home or building a new house from scratch. We aren't just talking about colour schemes here. We're going right back to basics and looking at the ideal size, location and layout of the bedroom space. This video is part of a series where I make a design guide for all the major rooms in a home. I've previously made a video about kitchen design and will make future videos about living spaces, bathrooms and stairs. Subscribe to the channel to catch those when I upload them. Much of the information in this design guide will apply anywhere, but I should also say that since this is a UK-based channel, I'm going to reference building regulations in this country. If you are watching from outside the UK, be sure to take advice from an experienced local architect on which regulations apply to your bedroom. Now, let's start with the basics. Where should a bedroom be located within your home? There are two issues to consider here. First, the bedroom's relationship to the outside, and second, its relationship to the other rooms in your home. If you are creating a new bedroom, either building a new house or substantially altering your current home, my advice is that a bedroom should face east, into the rising sun. There are two advantages to this. One is that humans evolved to rise with the sun, so having natural light at dawn works with our body's rhythms. The other reason is more practical. If a room faces south or west, it will get warmer throughout the day, and in summer, this can mean trying to get to sleep in a room which is too hot for comfort. A room that faces east will be out of the sun for most of the day and be cooler in the evening. That isn't always possible if you're altering an existing home. This bedroom faces southwest, which is not ideal in long hot summer evenings. To offset any solar gain, the room is painted white, has tall ceilings, and the dressing and ensuite provide more volume, which takes longer to warm up. The second aspect of location is the relationship between the bedroom and the rest of the house. The worst mistake you can make is to have a bedroom opening directly into the main living space. This isn't so bad if the property is a one-bed apartment, but with a family, there needs to be some separation. In this property, there is a central hallway between the bedrooms and the kitchen, living and dining spaces. You also need to consider how the entrance to your home works. You do not want guests walking past bedroom doors on their way to the main living area. Take this house I designed, for example. The main entrance is straight into the open plan living space. The bedrooms are beyond this, so a guest never has to encounter them, or anyone in their own room will not accidentally bump into the guest. Creating that separation is vital to ensuring a bedroom is private and quiet. I touched on natural light earlier, and I should say that the building regulations in Scotland set a minimum size for a window to a bedroom. The glass must be at least 1/15 the floor area of the room, so if the room is 15 square metres, the glass will be 1 square metre. There is no upper limit to the amount of glass for a bedroom on its own, but the building regulations do set limits on the amount of glass in the overall house. The regulations also state that a bedroom should have natural ventilation, and the minimum size of the opening in a window should be 1/30th the floor area. So our 15 square metre bedroom must have a window which opens at least half a square metre. On the subject of windows, this is a good time to mention the sponsor of today's video. Sunflex UK design and manufacture high-quality aluminium frame windows and doors. I have used them on numerous projects, and I made a video looking at how they enhanced this house extension of mine. I believe Sunflex offer a great balance between cost and quality. Check out the video, I've put a link above and also in the description below. Now, how big should a bedroom be? What is the ideal size? Let's start with the minimum size. Our building regulations don't define the size of a bedroom. Instead, they ask designers to show that a single bed, wardrobe and chest of drawers can fit within the room. The regs define activity spaces around these three items of furniture, and those activity spaces can overlap. In my experience, it's possible to create a bedroom less than 10 square metres, which still complies with the regulations. That's a pretty miserable space. Anyone who complains that our building regulations are overly onerous doesn't know what they're talking about. These are minimum standards, not luxury. While there are legal limits on how small a bedroom can be, there is no upper limit in the regulations. But practically speaking, how big is too big? Well, even if money were no object, there are two things to consider. First is how tall the room is, and second is whether two adults have enough storage space in the room. Let's start with the first problem. Ceiling height. For the vast majority of homes, this isn't going to be an issue because building tall spaces costs so much more money than building conventional height rooms. But if you find yourself in an older property, it may have taller ceilings than a contemporary home. Or maybe you're considering building a new house and love the idea of a double height space or mezzanine above your bedroom. Why might this be a problem? Well, it's back to human psychology. People don't sleep easily unless they feel safe. Have you ever tried to fall asleep outdoors? Like really outdoors, under the sky? It's not a comfortable experience for most people. The feeling of being small makes us vulnerable. In historic properties like castles and palaces with very tall rooms, it became fashionable to have four-poster beds, partially as an added layer of insulation and privacy, but also to create a sense of enclosure, because the ceiling would be too far away and at night the room would feel way too large for comfort. In this room, the ceiling is very tall, and we designed a lowered ceiling to create a more intimate space. The ceiling void also carries plumbing and electrical fittings, so it's a multifunctional design. If you are working with a tall space, do not go for a low-profile bed. Get a bed which is built up from the floor. This will reduce the distance between you and the ceiling and help you feel comfortable in the space at night. Now, how do we work out how much storage space is needed? In my experience, no amount of storage is ever enough. The more storage I design, the more my clients seem to need. I start by itemizing the things my clients want to have. Clothes, shoes, jewellery, personal items, etc. and draw where those might go in the space. I'm also a fan of splitting clothes storage between both occupants so each person has their own wardrobe and they can get dressed without getting in each other's way. I should say I won't go into detail about ensuite bathrooms in this video. If you can fit one in, that's great. But I will make a separate video in the near future which will focus on how to design a bathroom. I will say that if you do plan on creating an ensuite shower or bathroom, place it next to the dressing area and think about the flooring. If you have carpet in the bedroom, no matter how hard you try, people with wet feet will walk out of the shower and stain that carpet. I suggest using a different material on the floor just outside your ensuite, something that can be cleaned and will help dry feet before they get to the main bedroom. In this room, those dressing areas are opposite each other, but it's also possible to create separate dressing and even separate ensuites behind a feature wall. Now, feature walls get a bad press, often because the trend of decorating a single wall different to all the other walls and placing the bed against it has gone out of fashion. But I'm talking about more than just wallpaper here. Take a look at this freestanding wall from one of my past projects. This was designed inside a large room to house the dressing areas and ensuite behind. It's possible to have separate wardrobes either side of a feature wall. That's what makes this useful. One person gets dressed on one side without disrupting the other person on the opposite side, and it gives the bed, and therefore the room, some focus. Which is the next thing to consider. Where do you locate the bed? In any well laid out room, the main focal point should be lined up with the walls, on its primary axis, like this. Secondary items, such as furniture or plants, should line up with the corners, on the room's secondary axis, like this. If the bed is the most important element in a bedroom, and it will face a wall opposite, whatever is on that wall will be the next most important element in the room. Whether it's a window, fireplace, entrance door, or a piece of art, you will need to decide. But keep in mind what I said. Think about the axis of the room. Now let's talk about lights. I mentioned natural light earlier, but what about artificial light? I've seen people go way over the top with recessed down lights and big pendant lights, but I think whatever lighting scheme you have, it must be controlled from the bedside, so you can turn off the lights without having to get out of that bed. In my opinion, a bedroom should have a main lighting scheme and a separate low lighting scheme, as a minimum. It can be LED soft lights or a big pendant, it doesn't really matter, but one light should illuminate the room and the other should illuminate the bedside or headboard. You can see how we did this here, using two directional lights mounted on the wall above the bed. The switches that control these lights can also control the main light in the room. The bulbs in the bedside lights should produce a soft or warm light, because getting to sleep after exposure to harsh blue or cold light is much more difficult. The next point is a big one. Do not try to have a multifunctional bedroom. Do not combine working from home with the most private and intimate space in your house. I know some people might give me a hard time in the comments for this, saying they have no other choice, and that's fair enough, but this video is aimed at people who are considering building a new house or substantially altering their existing home. They do have a choice. If you are going to make that big investment, get it right. Take it from someone who has worked from home these last 14 years. You want to be able to walk away from it and close the door. You don't want to wake up next to your laptop and stacks of files. Keep your bedroom off limits. Do not work in the same room as you sleep. Finally, if you are thinking about furniture, be careful about overdoing it with built-in units. In this room, we designed a feature window seat. These steel bars are here because the windowsill is too low to comply with modern safety standards, and there needs to be a permanent barrier to prevent someone falling out. We built a window seat into the recess with storage underneath. This only works because the building is over 200 years old and the walls are thick stone. The seat is discreet and works with the overall room. But this project of mine from 2012 had a small bedroom with a built-in store around a single bed. It's cute, but it also dominates the room. On balance, most bedroom furniture should be movable, things like chairs, dressers, and sideboards. If you find that you don't like a piece over time, you can move it or replace it. Built-in furniture is much more difficult to change if you decide you don't like it anymore. Like I said at the beginning, I am an architect and not an interior designer. I hope this video gives you a fresh perspective on the fundamentals of bedroom design.